right, today we are talking about my dream camera that Sony almost made. This is the Sony RX1R Mark III, Sony and their crazy names. And there's a lot to talk about with this camera. I've had this thing for a little over 2 weeks. I've shot it every single day. Now, Sony did not send me this camera, not even as a loaner. B&H sent me this camera. This video is in no way associated with Sony, so I can really tell you how this thing is. I have shot the crap out of this thing. I took it to one of Morgan's concerts. I've shot my kids. I've shot at the beach. I have shot this thing in every scenario. Even last night, me and Morgan went on a date. I took this with me. It's been on a camera strap around my neck. This is the Clever Supply Co. strap, by the way, that everyone asks about. Like this for about 2 weeks. So I guess the question to be asked, and the question that I'm going to hopefully help myself answer today, is will I be buying the Sony RX1R Mark III, a $5,100 camera? Let's start by talking about the price. Let's talk about the price and the recycled parts, because I think that those two kind of go hand in hand in figuring out why Sony thought that this thing should go for $5,100. And look, parts-wise, I think everyone knows by now that this is the same sensor, the same processor, basically the same image quality from the A7R5 and the A7CR. Both of those cameras share, they basically just took the guts out of those cameras and jammed it into a tiny body. And those cameras, like, they're not that expensive, but it's much more competing in that, like, everyday camera world with the X100. There's also like the big version of this, you know, Fuji's big version. That thing costs like $5,400. This is the Leica Q3. This cost $6,700, $6,735 on B&H right now. And then my Q343, this thing is $7,380 on B&H right now. So when you kind of like think of it like that, like Sony is creating a camera to compete in this world. Does this compared to these guys being, you know, 7380 minus 5100 is like $2,200-ish dollars cheaper than a Leica Q343. You can buy this camera, although it does compare more with like the Leica Q3, because this is a 28mm lens, this is a 35mm lens, so it competes more with this, and this guy is at $6,735. So $1,600 cheaper, you can get this camera, or you get the Leica. So when you kind of put it in that realm, you understand how they got to $5,100. The problem on Sony's part is that it is just recycled parts, right? So we've got the old lens. This is the same Zeiss lens from 10 years ago when the RX1 Mark II came out. And like everyone else has noted, my experience with it has been like it's not been bad, but it's not great. Like tons of chromatic aberration. There's character to this lens, but that's kind of just a nice way of saying like it's got a lot of flaws. Character to a lens is kind of the same thing as like being like, she's got a great personality. The lens itself, you like when you focus this, hang on, let's see if I get it by my microphone. Okay, listen, see if you can hear it. Can you audibly hear? You can audibly hear the motors in this lens as it operates, and neither of these is like that at all. Like these two, you don't hear, but even like this guy, like X100, which is significantly cheaper than this camera, maybe half the price. This thing, you don't hear the motors in the lens. Like this is just, it's not a bad lens. It's Zeiss. Zeiss makes incredible lenses. It's just old. And I think if Sony would have given us like a brand new lens from Zeiss, never before put on any other camera, it would have been much easier to justify this price, because we wouldn't have had like a point of reference for how much this lens should cost or how good it really is. We would have just been like, oh, well, they put a brand new Zeiss lens on it, so that makes sense that it would be so expensive. But they didn't do that. So we have the sensor and the guts from the A7R5, which by the way is amazing. Like the autofocus on this camera is wild. 693 autofocus points for this thing. Like the real-time tracking is incredible. It has the AI chip in there with the XR and AI processing units, the Bions. As a camera system, it is amazing. It's just that because it's the same parts from the A7CR and the A7R5, which are significantly cheaper than this, you start asking yourself, am I just paying for it to be small? Okay, let's talk about some of the good things, like things that are really good about this camera. And one of the coolest features about this camera is their step guides. Now, both of these Leicas have step guides in them. What that means is that this camera is 60 megapixels. So at 60 megapixels, 35 millimeters, you can digitally crop into this camera. So you can go from 35 millimeters, you press the C1 button, that's how mine is mapped. I click that once, now I'm at 50 millimeters. I click it again, and now I'm at 70 millimeters. And the view, like this, look, see? It's actually at 70 millimeters. A really weird thing that the Leicas do, and maybe I need to make a whole video like Sony versus Leica, that might be fun. But if I do it on here, look at this. You get the box, but it doesn't actually like it doesn't zoom in the entire screen, which is really odd. The reason this is so cool though is I love shooting at 50 millimeters. 50 millimeters is my very favorite focal length, which is why I bought the Q343. But with this camera, I can have 35 millimeters at 60 megapixels. Then I click that button once, I jump into 50 millimeters, but now I drop down to 30 megapixels. And 30 megapixels, it's still more than my A7 IV that I shoot weddings on. I've shot professional work on the A7 IV, and this thing has more megapixels when it's cropped in than my big camera does. And then if you jump into 70 millimeters, you do drop down to 15 megapixels. I would say probably 15 megapixels, very close. This is probably not enough megapixels for me personally. It would be fine for personal work. Taking pictures of my kids and my family, that's probably fine. But 50 millimeters at 30 megapixels, that's wild. Like, it's wild that this thing can do that. And technically that kind of means I have a 35 millimeter and a 50 millimeter in one camera. Also, a really killer macro mode on here. The macro is shockingly macro. Like at 35 millimeters, it is very macro, and you can still do that stepless or step guides in macro mode. So I can still like punch, like if I get like this dial of this camera right here, if I go to macro mode and I punch in, right? Oh, that's very macro. 70 millimeters, macro mode, taking a picture of the Fuji. It's shockingly good. Look, having a essentially A7R5 hung around your neck to go out on a date with your wife, which I just did last night, it's pretty wild. Like it's an impressive camera. Let's talk about some things though that they did wrong. Two of them that the RX1R Mark II had, and then this one doesn't have, which I just think are such dumb decisions. One, the pop-up viewfinder. The pop-up viewfinder on the RX1 Mark II, it was really fun. I have it. Oh no, I don't have it anymore. Ah, shoot. I gave a friend my RX100. The RX100s back in the day had this also, but it's a pop-up viewfinder. Like, you don't have a viewfinder on the camera and you pull a little switch down on the side and it goes thunk, and it pops up. There was something about that just felt fun. Like, it was fun to do. It was fun. Like, you didn't have one and then you were like, click. Oh, look at my little viewfinder. That was fun. On here, they built in the viewfinder, and they gave like the whole top of the camera a very Leica-esque dressing. Like, look how, hang on, let me take this off. This is just a rubber eye cup, by the way, because the viewfinder isn't great. But look at the top of these two cameras. Sony kind of just made like a mini Leica. Like they made them both flat, so completely flat, and then they like rounded the edge the same way. They were definitely going for mini Leica vibes on this camera. The viewfinder, 2.3 million dot viewfinder, 2.3 million dot LCD screen, touch LCD screen. We'll talk about that in a second. But the viewfinder is just like, if you don't have this cup on there, it is very difficult to see this viewfinder when you're out and about. Like, it's a sunny day and you put this little thing to your eye. It's not terrible. It's just not great. And again, at $5,100, like, you want an amazing experience. You should every touch point on this camera, everything that you use should feel premium and should feel like, oh wow, like this is Sony's best that they could do. And I would say that the viewfinder, the touchscreen, and the lens are just eh. All right, let's talk about, I'm gonna just say it. I'm not gonna be buying this camera, and I have one big reason, and this is, it like breaks my heart. I'm not even mad at Sony, I'm very disappointed. They took away the flip screen. This camera, the previous version of this camera had that cool ass pop-up viewfinder, and it had a flip screen. And it wasn't like an amazing flip screen, it was kind of like the Leica, where you just pull this out and it can go to like 90 down, and then if you do this, like it goes down a little bit. Like it's not much, but it's something. What this allows me to do, this is how I shoot most, like if I'm shooting this camera or this camera, like any of these cameras, I'm usually shooting them with the viewfinder flipped out at waist level so I can take pictures of my kids. I want great pictures of my kids on their level. Now, even this drives me crazy because it only does this and it doesn't flip the other way, which again, Sony, you guys make this already. This guy, the version 1, this is the first version, there we go, ZV-1. This is for sure the first version ZV-1 that's out there. It's a tiny pocketable camera, and not only does it have a flip screen like this, it has a flip out screen. Look, full flip out, it's articulating. I can sit there and do this. Me and Morgan have tried doing photos of ourselves with this thing, and you shoot like 10 photos and you're like, did we get what? Basically I go like this. I shoot low, I go click, 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 because I don't know if I'm too high or too low because there isn't a flip screen on this freaking camera. They didn't give me either of those things on their like premium rangefinder camera. Even the Leicas, even the X100s, like Sony had to have known that we were all gonna be upset about this, that everyone that picked this camera up would just say like, why would they do that? Why would they take that off? And here's, I say this, Sony did not send me this camera. I did get to sit in on like the press call to hear about the camera the day it was launched. And their reasoning is that it makes the camera smaller to not have a flip screen. And my deal with it is just like, this is not a camera that you're gonna put in your pocket. So I'm already gonna need to put this in a bag, so it does not matter if you added this much more. Look how much bigger that makes my camera. Look, either my camera's this big or my camera's this big right here. That doesn't freaking matter. What does freaking matter is me trying to take pictures out in the sunlight with this camera. You basically have to be in the eye cup. That's what I'll say about this camera. If you are shooting this camera and you are someone that is consistently in the eye cup, and to use the eye cup or the viewfinder properly, you gotta have the rubber eye cup on because it actually like gives you like a decent view of that viewfinder. But you gotta shoot pictures like this. You gotta be in the eye cup. So if I'm taking pictures of my kids, I either have to crouch down or I just get a down angle. I don't know. It makes it so that this cannot be my daily, everyday carry camera. Like it frustrates me so much that I can't just have it on this strap. What? Any of these other cameras, hang on. Any of these other cameras, I have it on my camera strap so many of the times. I am just flipping the screen out and going like this and grabbing some shots and then putting it back away. That's it. Like I don't even pull the camera up to my eye. I want that like lower level shot. If I need to go even lower, it's so easy to flip the screen, pop this off, go low, shoot low, get the shot that I want, put it back on and go. And with this camera, like you just, I don't know. Maybe I am a little mad. It's so crazy too. If they would have given me a flip screen, like a normal flip screen like this, which already I think is meh. If they would have given me this, like $5,100 all freaking day, man. No flip screen. That is dumb.